Boom. What up, guys? We are live. So the podcast a lot of you guys have been asking me for is finally here. We got Austin Dunham joining us for a dope discussion, podcast, interview, whatever you want to think about it. And yeah, this is one that a lot of you guys have been asking me for. And I'm really pumped that we could finally make it happen. So yeah, Austin, thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome, man. Glad to be here. Let's get to it, bro. I've seen your content on the test game stuff and all that. So yeah, let's talk, man.
Yeah, I reacted to your video about that chat friend you had.
I actually saw that one. Yeah, the Chad video. Yeah, that was a good one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an interesting
I
one.
forgot what you said exactly, but yeah, we could
I
discuss
was
that
saying
too.
that
Like,
he's like fucking himself over with like just his like really poor texting. Like if, I feel like if he just slightly like improved his texting, he could like double his results. So it's like it feels like such a waste of a potential. It's like someone who has like so much potential, but then he's just like sending like the worst text. And I was looking at that, I like, oh god,
yeah, I think a
this guy.
big reason for that is the language barrier. He's from Turkey, so
Yeah.
there's a bit of a language barrier, and he's not. His English is like kind of. But if he did, he will be Slayer even more because he
Yeah.
slays just off his texting like that, man.
I'm sure he does. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't doubt that at all. So let's start off with this. How did you get started? Like, how did you get into YouTube, bodybuilding, game, and all of that?
Yeah. So my story begins when I was about 13 years old. I've always been into posting content of whatever I'm into or whatever I'm doing. So at first, I was really into like flash games, like Club Penguin is super nerdy, but like I was into like these weird online games, but I'll always show what I'm doing. So I had this original YouTube channel that I would initially post on, just showing the games that I'm playing. I was in a Rubik's Cube. I just post random stuff. So I think that habit just kind of went into whenever I got into fitness, whenever I was 18 years old, because I joined the ROTC program. And that got me more into fitness and calisthenics and getting my body right, getting push-ups, pull-ups, all that stuff. And so I did what I normally just wasn't used to doing, which is sharing what I'm doing. So from there, I think that's the thing that actually caught traction for me, though, and that's why I stuck with it in regards to the fitness side of me. In regards to the manosphere and the dating stuff, I've always been interested in the male to female dynamics, and it first started off with learning game. I was one of the virgins, like as a 16-year-old on the forums of I forgot the forums like So Suave, I think it was called. I was like reading a whole bunch of stuff, just learning about this stuff, but I was putting into no action because I was a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. But I think whenever I got the chance to actually apply that knowledge I've been reading for years and all the videos I've been watching, all these PUA artists and stuff like that, when I got to my early adult life after college, and especially with the boom of the red pill and all that stuff, I did the same thing that I've been doing in the past with fitness and with other stuff. Is I created a new channel, just talked about the stuff that I was currently into and the stuff that I'm doing, and it caught traction once again. So I think at heart, I'm just naturally a creator, and I love sharing my experiences, and I love sharing valuable tips in which I wish I would have known when I was in that amateur sort of beginner spot. So yeah, that's pretty much my history, man. Just sharing what I'm doing. And I'm always into something. Like I always have an interest or a hobby, or I'm always trying to learn some skill or something new. So yeah.
Yeah, that's basically exactly the premise for my channel as well. It's like giving the kind of content that I would have liked to see when I was like learning game and I was struggling. It's basically, yeah, like my channel's dedicated to like a 10-year, like a 20-year-old version of myself. What was your
Exactly.
early
Yeah.
like type of content creators that got you to pickup? Like for example, I learned about the pickup community through the book The Game, and then I followed RSD for a while. What was that for you?
So for me, I would follow these random pickup artists back on the early YouTube days. If you remember Justin Wayne,
Yeah.
does that ring a bell? Like Justin
Yeah.
Wayne, Paul Janka, like
Mhm.
Mystery. I was following and watching the old school pickup artists. I did read the book The Game when I was a teenager too. So all that stuff what really got me into sort of the pickup game. I think it was more out of envy because I came from a place of where I got no female attention in high school.
Mhm.
I was a virgin up until I was 18. Um, I wasn't socially awkward, but I was more just an outsider. Like I had a small group of friends, but I wasn't really that guy in high school. So I think all that stuff affected my results with women. And then I would envy people who would have the results with women. And then I would seek external sources online to learn more about why things happen the way they do. Because I wanted to know, why was she attracted to this guy, but not me? And so learning that through, the principles of the game, through, social stuff, attraction and all that stuff is where I caught a big interest into all that stuff. But in regards to the people that I watch, it's just random PUA people, and a lot of reading forums too, as I said.
We have quite a
I,
lot in common, actually, because in high school I had a good group of friends, but outside my group of friends, I was like really shy and didn't lose my virginity until I was 19. Was super bad with girls, and then when I got to college, I would just like literally just like try to reverse engineer what the guys who were good with girls were doing. And this is before I even knew about the pickup community.
yeah.
Guys, I didn't learn about that until I was like 21, 22. So like 18, 19, 20-year-old Alex is just like hanging out at a party and just like watching what some guy who's getting girls doing and trying to figure out how's he doing that. But like my mildly socially autistic brain was like often misinterpreting the stuff and like taking away the wrong takeaways. But eventually like I started kind of like picking up on some trends. It was also really, for me, what really helped me is I had this friend in college named I don't want to say his, let's call him S, who was like just a true natural with girls, who was also into pickup. So when you take like someone who's a natural who also learns about pickup, which is a really rare combination, that guy I think is like I will say to this day is better than anyone else I've ever seen in this whole community. And so I got to like, he basically like took me under his wing and like showed me a lot of shit and like gave me a lot of guidance. And I feel like that like really, I don't know, like expedited my learning process. I honestly don't know where I would be if I didn't like meet that one person in college. So sometimes it's right place, right time.
Yeah, that's crazy. You had that resource, because for me it was just all internet. Like I didn't discuss anything with anybody around me in regards to like learning game, or I didn't really see anybody who would do any of the stuff or like apply it. So I felt like I was in this world sort of by myself. And so I think that's why forums and online communities are created, because a lot of guys feel that way. So
yeah, I didn't know the online stuff existed. It was such a pleasant surprise. Like I don't know, the analogy I give is like, imagine you have some like weird disease that's not going to kill you, but it's like extremely uncomfortable, right? And then you think you're the only one that has it, and then 5 years later you realize there's a community of people who have that disease, and a lot of them have actually beat the disease. And it's like, holy shit, okay, there's actually people who've gone through this, and there's like steps and instructions I can take. For me, it was like such like I don't know, it was like a very like like just freeing type of feeling where I'm like, all right, I'm not the only one who's awkward as fuck with girls. So
yeah,
the internet stuff was definitely.
I agree with that, man.
So what if you don't mind me asking you this question, what age did you lose your virginity at?
I was 18. It was I could tell the story about it too. It was
Go ahead.
Interesting situation. So I was 18. I was a senior in high school. I was friends with this girl in class. She would always flirt with me, but at the time she had a boyfriend. And I think this is one of the things that in hindsight, quote unquote, like kind of got me hipped to like female nature and like some of the negative things of just those dynamics. But I was working at Wendy's at the time. I was flipping burgers, but her house was kind of near the place where I worked at Wendy's. And she would always ask me or text me to come over. Her dad's not home because she came from a single parent, just her dad home. And I came from more of a stricter background. So my mom was always making sure I was home on time because I worked the night shift. But I think it was one weekend where I worked like the early part of the shift, and her dad wasn't home once again. And then she texted me, and then I forgot the story, but I ended up going over her place. And to my knowledge, I forgot the situation, but she escalated and did all the moves. I don't remember anything. I just sort of remember we watched Netflix or whatever was going on at the time, a movie. And that's how it happened. I really didn't put in any effort. I didn't even try to lose it. I think if that situation wouldn't have happened, I would have lost it probably when I was like 19 or 20, like in college. So yeah, it kind of just.
Your story's a lot better than mine.
Yeah.
I was 19 in a resort in Mexico. It was like a family vacation. And there was this like really, really fat chick, and I was really, really drunk. And I wound up banging the fat chick on a beach in Mexico. And I lasted like 5 seconds. And then I spent the rest of the vacation worrying that I got her pregnant because I didn't use a condom. And so yeah, that was my first time. I was like, all right,
Damn,
sis.
yeah,
What's about?
yeah. That's
Um,
not that's definitely worse than mine, man. But yeah, she had
yeah.
a boyfriend the whole time. Shout out to her. I think they actually got married, uh, like
Oh,
till this
interesting.
day. Yeah, not even. Yeah,
You
it's
think the boyfriend knows about you?
he does. I forgot how he figured out, but a few months later, he messaged me on Facebook, confronting me on texting her or whatever. I'm not sure if he knows that we had sex, but he sent me a Facebook message. It's still in my archive somewhere. He was pretty angry, and it was actually, I hate to say it, but it was a guy like I was kind of acquaintance with, but like we
Um,
weren't friends, but it was like sort of acquaintance, like, oh, what's up, man? Passing by the hallway, sort of thing. And
mm.
yeah, bro. But also, I think also what played a part into my virginity and my lack of access towards women throughout that time frame was the environment I was in. So I went to a really predominantly white high school,
Mm.
but not only just white, it was very, very rednecky, very quote unquote hick. Like it was very country, like kind of in the sticks.
Where
Like
did
we would
you
have
grow
people
up?
growing.
Where was this?
It was a small town outside of Jacksonville called Yulee,
Ah,
Florida.
okay. Like
Yeah.
North Florida.
We would have people like draw swastikas on the
Oh shit.
windows. Like it was like that type of school. And so
Damn.
I
Okay.
think that played a big part into like why I sort of wasn't, I just wasn't that type of guy back then. And plus I was unattractive. I was like 5'7". I was 110 pounds. There are a lot of things that weren't going for me at the point in time that I had to improve and work on, in which I did. So
Yeah, I also
all
used
that
to be
played.
like comically skinny. I used to be like 130 pounds at like 5'11, 140 pounds, like skinny as fuck. Yeah, it was all, I was just all like skin and bones, basically, like zero muscle mass. Uh, which is like, I played sports also in high school. Like, I was a soccer player, I played hockey and shit. So I was like really good at cardio, but I had just like zero muscle mass. I was just like literally just a skeleton. When I look at photos of me from like 2010, 2011, I was just like kind of cringe how skinny I was, like a Holocaust survivor, basically.
Yeah,
That's
me and you both,
the vibe.
man.
That's kind of the
That's
vibe
what
I
got
was
me into
given.
my fitness journey. Actually, was the fact that I was just so skinny, and the insecurity of that came from that. Uh, I tell the story a lot, but I was so skinny where it was like my wrist and the top of my shoulder was like just one. There was
Oh
no
damn!
sort of, it was that I wore hoodies every day to school because people make fun of how skinny my arms were. So
So
I
you were like a
think
hardcore ectomorph, right?
yeah, hardcore ectomorph, hard gainer, quote unquote, ate a lot but never gained weight. But the truth is, I just never had an appetite, so I would never eat. I was too busy playing video games and bullshitting
So I'm
around.
assuming you fixed that just by being like very diligent and like tracking your calories, progressive overload, or was there anything like unusual that you did that you felt helped you as well?
Yeah, I made most. So that is correct. Just getting my diet on point, tracking my protein, understanding how many calories it takes for my body to see a change, and realizing that I wasn't eating enough, though it
Yeah,
felt like I was. And
yeah.
then from there, just staying consistent in the gym. And what really allowed me to stay consistent, and what also, oh shit, somebody just popped up. There we go. And what also allowed me to see progress in the gym was doing a new training style called calisthenics. And that's what I started my first YouTube channel about, was building muscle and strength through just your body weight. So I would go in
Hmm.
the gym, do bench press and all that stuff, but I never could stay consistent with it. It wasn't until I found a new training style called calisthenics, and that was really fun for me. So learning handstands, muscle ups, one arm pull ups, like doing all that was how I actually made progress, most of my progress.
Do you feel like the reason you have better results with calisthenics is just because it was a lot more fun for you and you were able to be consistent, or do you actually feel there's something intuitively about calisthenics that gives an advantage over traditional bodybuilding?
Calisthenics does have advantages in regards to relative strength purposes, meaning that you're able to maneuver your body in such a way through gravity that can't be replicated if you were only to train weights. Like example,
Mhm.
doing handstand push-ups, like freestanding handstand push-ups. A weightlifter can try it all day. They're probably not going to learn how to do it, or learning how to do a one-arm pull-up or a muscle up. That's the biggest advantages. But in regards to just muscle building, I think it was the fact that I was able to stay consistent with it because I actually enjoyed it. Calisthenics
Mhm.
was like a video game to me. You unlock levels.
Yeah.
Sort of with weightlifting, you can progressive overload. You add weight to the bar, until you got more heavier weight. But calisthenics is more about changing the variation throughout time. I started out being able to do 10 push-ups. Now I can do 20. Now I change up the variation. I do archer push-ups. Get good at that. Now I'm doing one-arm push-ups. So over
Mm.
time, you unlock all these levels till you get to the super advanced level of doing no legs push-ups now.
Right.
And I think that's what allowed me to see the progress the fastest. It was just so fun to me, you know.
What like in terms of your training now, what percentage of it is calisthenics and what percentage of it is just bodybuilding?
I makes quite a bit of everything now. Whereas the percentages, if I had, I would say about 50-50 really.
Okay.
Because yeah, I've been doing calisthenics for so long. I got good at like everything. So when you get good at a lot of stuff, it kind of becomes, a bit monotonous, a bit boring. So nowadays I switch it up, and now I'm training bench press, in which I've never trained flat bench press at all. But now I'm doing it just because I got so good at calisthenics. I want to see what my body is fully capable of in all different realms of fitness. Calisthenics was my base, and it led me to get where I'm at today. But nowadays I mix up pretty much everything: weighted calisthenics, bodyweight training, weights, machines, all the above.
How many years of consistent training did it take you before you kind of like achieved more or less the physique you have now? Obviously, you're still slightly improving, but before you really got like the overwhelming amount of your physique, like how many years was it?
I reached my peak physique within 3 to 4 years of training, and I,
Okay.
I think that's the most fun years. Like building up to that 3 or 4 year mark. Year one, you see a ton of progress. Year two, if you're doing everything right, given you also
No.
see progress. But year three, year four, that's when you're really hitting that sort of peak physique. And then after
No.
there, you can make little adjustments and really dial in order to improve little by little. But after that third or fourth year, you're really not changing a whole lot unless that's when a lot of people will start getting on the juice or TRT or,
That's what I did.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, you're on
That,
TRT right now?
yeah, TRT and small microdoses of DECA. Um, yeah,
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
had, but I'm not actually contrary to popular belief. I didn't get into it because of bodybuilding reasons. Although that's a very nice sweet cherry on top. I got into it because of health issues. I had like Lyme disease, still do, and it like completely crashed my hormones. My like total testosterone was like 200 or something like that. Like it was like I had the testosterone of like a 90-year-old man. So that's when I got into TRT, and the DECA I actually started doing for the joint repair benefits. I don't think a lot of people know this, but DECA actually significantly increases how fast your body creates collagen, and just in terms of healing, it actually has a lot of benefits. So if you keep the dose low, you can mitigate most of the negative side effects and still get like the joint repair effects. But obviously, another cool thing is that you can lift more weight and then you look better. So yeah, so like I feel like for me, I did hit a little bit of a plateau. Then when I start DECA, it's kind of now back to like what it was like year one or year two. But then eventually I'll hit a plateau too. So then it's gonna be like, okay, start periodization or some kind of other different training scheme.
Yeah, man. I think whenever I reach my 40s, a lot of people say this, but I'll probably do something with TRT too, given that my testosterone lowers. Maybe I'm low energy, whatever it may be, or probably not. It depends. But that's cool that you're open and honest about it, though. You know.
Yeah, I feel like there's also a lot of things you can do like that are in between, like in between like natural and testosterone, like a lot of peptides. I don't know if you've ever like looked into that, but I take CJC ipamorelin, which is kind of like a natural way of boosting your growth hormone, and I've actually measured it, and it straight up works. Like I think I increased my growth hormone by at least 50% through CJC IPA injections, like blood work verified. So like there's and that stuff is not like really you don't have to stay on it. It's like very like it's just essentially amino acids, honestly. So like there's stuff like that like I think anyone could take advantage of. They're like, hey, I don't really want to get on TRT because of all the the potential fact I have to be on it for life because I might become infertile. So that's like I think a really good like in between step that I think everyone should look into.
Yeah, that's all. I never even heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the CJC IPA. There's a lot of really interesting peptides that are coming out now. Okay, so I want to ask you this question. So if you were completely starting from scratch, like just you were just like erased, like you're or not erased, but like you're back to your 17-year-old self in terms of everything, results with women, body, mindset, whatever, like popularity status. What steps would you take to get good? Like what would be the steps that you would just follow?
You know what sucks? I read some meme. It was like would you rather, it was like red pill, blue pill, would you rather go back to your 18-year-old self with the knowledge you have now, or age 10 years with 5 million or something like that? And I said, I would rather age 10 years with 5 million than go back and do
Real.
everything over again. Yeah. Bro, like the thing about me is that if I was to go back in time on a blank slate, I would do everything that I exactly done now. It I think I just had such a head start because I'm 27 right now. So I started all this stuff when I was 17, 18 years old. So I would go back to that time and just do again everything I did to get up to this point in the same exact order. Work on my fitness, start posting content, build a YouTube channel around calisthenics, show what I'm doing. But like the idea or the thought of having to go back 10 years or whatever and doing all the work I put in, all the hours and time all over again, just damn, it sounds depressing. But that's exactly what I would do. I would do everything that I've done in the same exact order. Not to say I've done everything right perfectly, because there's definitely been a bit of faults along the way and learning lessons, as with anything. But if I was to go back to 17 years old, I would work on my fitness, my body. I would from there share content, because I'm a creator at heart. I would share value content and show what I'm doing, and that's it. Yeah, that's what I would do, honestly. Start
Oh,
an
that's
online
interesting.
business. Hmm.
Because my answer would be like the total opposite. I would love to go back to when I was 18 because I feel like I could do so much more with the knowledge I have now. Like I could save myself years of like stupid trial and error and mistakes and like going in the wrong direction. I don't know. I feel like if I could go back in time, like I would be like with what I know now, I could be a multimillionaire,
Oh
like
yeah.
fucking ripped as fuck, like fucking dating a
If
bunch
I
of
had the
Playboy
knowledge
models.
I know now, if I had the knowledge
Yeah.
I know now and go back, of course I would go back. I'm talking about if I was
Oh,
to
okay.
go back and not have any knowledge,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
have
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So what about in terms of girls? Like for example, you go back to your 18-year-old self, like would you start doing cold approach? Would you focus on dating apps? Like what would you be doing? Would you be trying to build a social circle? Like in terms of like women, what would you be doing specifically when it comes to that?
So I wouldn't get on. I would use dating apps, but there's a lot of things I would do. The first thing I would do is I would build a network and get involved in organizations that will put me of higher status and value. Because obviously at that time I'm in high school or college. In high school, I was in band, so that's not really like a big network or value driven thing that could build status. I would have built my body up to play sports or be a part of some sort of sports team and been
Mhm.
very good at that. In college, I did ROTC. That was more for career purposes. But if we're talking about girl purposes here, I would have joined like a fraternity or
Yeah,
been a part of some sort of network like that. If we're
you
talking
could do
about
that.
just
Yeah.
purely access to women. And alongside with that, I would take the knowledge I know now about presentation and apply that early on. So increasing my looks and make myself as most attractive as possible, because back then reading the game stuff, I know with the popularity of black pill and all this stuff now, looks is definitely talked about, but back then like it really wasn't talked about. I'm like, okay, I'm good as I am, sort of. That's my mentality. I just need to talk my way sort of into it. I would have focused more on a bit more, increase my physical attraction and leveraging that from an objective standpoint with the knowledge I know now, and then applying that to like online presentations. So the pictures I take, which includes the dating app pictures towards my presentation, and even my Instagram, my social media presence, and all that stuff too. So I think those are the biggest things. I would join organizations to leverage status, and then I would focus on increasing my attraction and my physical attraction through my looks and my physique very early on. I
Mhm.
would have grown a beard, like this beard and all this stuff. Like I didn't start looking like myself till I was like 23.
Mhm.
If I would have started looking more like myself when I was like 18, 19, I could have been, you know,
What about cold approach? Would you do cold approach?
back in that time frame, I think I would have been more inclined to do it. Yes. But the thing is, when you're that young, like 18, 17 years old, your code approach, um, the people you're code approaching, the women are, high schoolers. Or if I was in college, maybe too, but like I said, the network and through the access of being in like a fraternity or a group would provide me the network and access through social circle towards meeting women, and I wouldn't have to cold approach. And cold approach, even nowadays, has never been my big forte. Just because I like doing things with like in a strategic way. And I feel like cold approach is kind of just taking a shot in the dark. Though if you have really good social skills, of course it could be more in your favor. But I like leveraging things to work more in my favor, and that's where I set up systems nowadays to make that happen. So
yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I think cold approach, I've talked about this, is like fairly inefficient, right? You know, it's like, because you don't know the girl you're approaching if she has a boyfriend, if you're her type, if she's a lesbian. There's a lot of factors outside your control. So it's fairly inefficient. But the counter argument is I feel like cold approach really helped me get rid of a lot of the internal weak points I had and just amplify all the positive traits. I used to have a lot of like bad negative beliefs. I used to be kind of shy. I used to have anxiety talking to people. And I feel like I was able to like really, really just annihilate all that stuff through like years of progressive cold approach. So that would be the thing is like nowadays I don't really do much cold approach. It's like very rare. Like once in a blue moon. If I'm either filming a video or there's some girl that's like so hot and I have like a few extra minutes and like I just want to talk to her, but it's not often, but I used to do it all the time. But I do think like I don't know if I would be as successful as I am on YouTube or even be able to get a girlfriend or even just have some of the things that I enjoy now if I didn't have to go through the cold approach period. I don't know. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, cold approach is definitely good for just building your social skills and becoming more witty, building your fear of rejection, and all that stuff. I think is definitely good for that. But there's two different forms of cold approach too. There's like day game cold approach where it's like you're in the grocery store, gas station, walking down the street, whatever. But then there's also like the nighttime cold approach. I've always done nighttime cold approach. I forgot to mention that. When I was in college, I met my first girlfriend ever of two and a half years just through cold approach at a party, a social environment.
Yeah, same as well.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of similarities, man. So in that regard, I've always done the cold approach in nightlife social environments. I have no problem doing that. But my thing that I was kind of uncomfortable with, but I also see benefit in it too, is like the daytime cold approach. Like you're at a mall and you see a cute girl looking at clothes in the store, like sparking up a conversation with her. That's where that was different for me, you know. And even till this day, like I rarely do it, and the times I have done it, some have succeeded in actual closes, but like there's so many other leverage points and connections that can be made in other areas that kind of give you a bit more leverage in regards to them being available, with them actually being into you and you know it, you know. So
yeah. No, I mean, I think in terms of like self-development, there's really not a difference between day game and night game. You're still getting like all the same benefits. So that I feel like that one is just largely personal preferences. I've also like the vast majority of girls that I've slept with from cold approach were nighttime. Like I've had two girlfriends from cold approach, I think 2 or 3. Both of them were like at a bar or nighttime type of shit or at a party or whatever. But I think also like I quite often, like sometimes, not quite often, but from time to time, I see guys like kind of trying to skip steps. Because like you look at like, you're familiar with Michael Sartain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at Michael Sartain, you're like, yo, this is fucking epic. Like this guy just literally surrounded by hot girls. Like fuck all this other shit. Like why don't I just go do exactly what he does? Which is fine. He's definitely got the right idea with the social circle stuff, like for sure. But if he was like kind of like a shy, weird incel type of dude, even with the social circle, he wouldn't be able to have that. So it's like, I do feel like you have to kind of get to a point where you're fairly socially competent and you're somewhat charismatic and you don't have major weak points when it comes to your like inner beliefs before you can do more of like the advanced shit, like the social stuff and all of that. That's just kind of like my take. Cause I'm just looking back at myself when I was like 19 in college. And I did have like social circles, but it led to like 0 like results with women. I was even living in a frat house my junior year, and I slept with like 2 girls the whole year. Like if I could go back to that time, I could do like 2 girls in like a fucking day. But it's just like because I was just all the other stuff was so bad, you know. So I do think that like if you're starting at a pretty good point, then you can just even skip the cold approach part. But if you're starting at like a low point, I do think you need to find some kind of vehicle to overcome those like issues that you have.
No, I agree with that too in regards to the progressing the level sort of thing. And that's where you got to be objective with yourself and look at yourself and realize and understand the flaws in your quote unquote game. Like there's so many different layers and aspects to like game. It's not only just social charisma and like social IQ. There's a other lot of moving parts. But if you are missing that aspect of like your social charisma and like not being able to just even speak with people, then it doesn't matter if you're in that situation. As you said, you can be living in a frat house, you can be a part of the biggest fraternity, whatever, and you're still not going to get results. You could have all these bikini models doing a photo shoot with you, whatever. You're going to be friend zoned, you know. So there's a lot
Yeah,
of moving parts to it, and
that
I
was me
think
in
that's the
college.
benefit. Yeah, that's the benefit I had too. I've never been socially awkward, and I've always had like a high social IQ. I think my
Mm.
issue is my social IQ was like too high, where it makes when your social IQ is too high, you start overthinking everything. Like in especially in group situations or whenever you meet people, like you start overthinking the way that you're talking or did I say this right or whatever, and then from there it can cause flaws and your delivery to be off and a whole bunch of other problems too. So you know.
Yeah, I feel like my social IQ was really low because I just literally, for the life of me, could not pick up on social cues. It made no sense to me. Like, why would a girl like say something playful towards you that's negative? It's like, does this girl like me or does she hate me? I can't fucking tell. You know, it's like a lot of these
Mhm.
basic social cues, I just had no idea what they were. The overthinking stuff, I can definitely relate to. I used to have that. Like, I would like, for example, there's like a girl I liked, right? I would like talk to her for 30 seconds and I would spend 2 hours analyzing every possible detail and coming up with the weirdest conclusions about what went wrong and blah blah blah. So it was like, yeah, just like I was constantly like racking my brain. And the problem is when you're overthinking like that, you're not really like flowing, you're not really like charismatic, you're just like kind of like very like stuck in your head, right? Which girls can
Mhm.
intuitively pick up on. It's just like not attractive. But yeah, I definitely used to have that issue. Let me ask you
Exactly.
this question. Kind of ties into very nicely into the last thing we're discussing. So right now, how do you primarily meet girls? I mean, I'm assuming it's not cold approach. So is it more like social circle dating apps, like, or do you have some
Yeah.
other secret Austin Dunham way of meeting girls?
Nah, my primary method is dating apps and social media. That has always, or I would say not always, but for the past few years for sure, I developed a pretty good system that allows me to funnel women from dating apps into the social media stream. I call it a dating funnel. You know, just applying the sales funnel concept to just dating, and then Instagram. I built a lot of status on my Instagram. I was verified before people could buy it. And
Yeah.
so, with that being said, through the pictures and my demonstration of higher value on social media and the attractive pictures I post, naturally I would attract women into my DMs, into the
Mm.
likes, comments, all that stuff. So I was able to kind of swift through that. So nowadays it's online. All my stuff is an online strategy.
Mm. Can you expand a little bit more on how your funnel works?
Yeah. So it's pretty complex, but like I said, from a business sales funnel, I just apply that to dating. And
Mm.
basically, what it starts off with is you yourself, just marketing, making sure that you have the right presentation, the right pictures that demonstrate the most attractive pillars for yourself. And that goes back to the attraction pillars too: looks, money, status, lifestyle, all that stuff. You want to display that where you personally can. And I think I mastered in regards to how I take pictures, my poses, demonstrating like an attractive character of myself. So getting matches is no problem. It used to be, funny enough, back in 2019,
Mhm.
2018. But nowadays, no problem. Tons of
Mhm.
guys catfish me all the time, and they can tell you yourself.
Oh, really?
So once, yeah, all the time. So once I get those matches, I actually have a unique strategy. I'm not sure if you would agree with this. This is where I think our game is a little bit different. But in regards to
Mhm.
dating apps, I don't message first. I deal with the
Interesting.
women who message me first. And there's a reason I do this, and it comes down to saving time and yeah, it's just mostly saving time and dealing with high interest women. I personally like dealing with high interest women, and I ran multiple tests. I realized that the women who I had to message first and like get out on a date, like even if I got to close with her, just the experience was always like not as good as the woman who messaged me first. And I think it ties back to a principle that a lot of OGs say is like the woman who likes you. But I was doing this before I even heard that. And so I was analyzing. I was like, okay, the girl who messaged me first, like we had a great time. I had to go on one or max 2 dates before I closed. But the girl who I had to message first, kind of convince to get out on a date, though we matched, we went on 3 dates and it went nowhere. We went on 5 dates, went nowhere. We went on 7 dates or six, and then finally got to close. It was always just some BS when it came to dealing with women who I had to like actually pursue. So I set
Yeah.
up systems and I was like, how can I get more women to message me first? And that's when I got into really increasing my looks, because dating apps, a lot of it is vanity, obviously the way you look. So if I can increase my looks and become a guy worth messaging first, and then having stuff in place in my bio where I encourage girls to message me first, and like have these little prompts in place where it entices emotion and almost baits women to send me a message first. I'm only going to deal with those women who message me first. And it's not like it's a little bit of girls who are doing it. Once I have all this stuff in place, like if I get on Tinder, let's say on a Sunday, and within 5 days, I can have 20 to 30 messages of girls messaging me first who are actually attractive. And then if I combine that with Hinge, Bumble, this and that, now I'm consumed with women who are coming to me, and I don't have to do a lot of the pursuing. So
Yeah.
that's the first part of the funnel. And then after that, after engaging in some rapport building techniques, moving them to the Instagram. The Instagram is more about leveraging social proof and some comfort building techniques I do in that too. But that's mostly because my strategy was mostly about just getting sex. It wasn't like necessarily trying to find a girlfriend or like a long term relationship. So with that being said, I found that women were more likely to come over my place without any objections. Were more likely to sleep with me faster and do all these things if I was to leverage my social proof as a part of the funnel. So they can see kind of who I am as a person. They see my highlights, they see my attractive Instagram profile, I send some voice notes, and then from there, set up the date, and then that's when I move to the numbers. So the funnel is basically dating app, Instagram, text, but there's some things that are in place there, such as comfort building techniques, such as was it compliance tests. Also, I got in there too. All these little things I have placed into this funnel to where when a girl is actually on the date with me, if she made it through all those filters and is on the date with me, she is 100% primed and ready to go. Like I'm going to close on the first date, 95% chance. So
Okay, there's so much I want to comment on. First, let me just quickly address the chat. All right, so this is a fucking giving some dope value right here. Austin is literally breaking down his funnel for free, and I see fucking 80% of you guys just bickering in the chat. So let's stop the bickering. I don't want to hear any more like fucking oh Greg said this or Greg what just stop bickering. Just focus on this podcast. Like this is so silly that there's doing this dope podcast and you guys are just bickering like a bunch of like 12-year-old girls. All right. Anyway, with that aside, so I want to. So you said about your strategy of having the girls message you first. So I totally understand your logic because I've done like breakdowns where I've analyzed where like okay, if so basically this is kind of the number I came out to. If I have to message the girl first, I'd probably bang her like 5 or 10% of the time, like off Tinder. But if the girl messages me first, it's like 1 out of 3. Like it's way higher of a chance I have of getting the date and banging her. Like especially getting the date part. It's like not even close, right? And also if I have to, for example, double text the girl off the opener, it drops from like 8% to like 2%, right? If I have to triple text her, it's like 0.01%, right? So at that point, I came to the
yeah,
decision that triple texting isn't even worth it because the odds are so low, right? So I totally understand that. I think the only thing that the important caveat is you need to have the amount of abundance of likes coming in before you could do that. Because if you have like an average profile and you're getting like 3 matches a day, like you can't really afford to do that. You have to first
yeah,
have like a really profile that's getting you a lot of likes before you can attempt that strategy. But I think if you are at a point where you have a lot of likes like you do, then I think it's actually a good strategy. Like, yeah, like why
yeah.
not? Like why not? Save your time for the girls to have the most highest chance. How many like likes or matches do you get per app a day, just roughly?
I don't know the exact number, but it's
Just
it's a lot, man. It's it's like top 10% statistical data, and that's me being like humbly given an answer. Like I don't know the exact number, But whatever the top 10% is in regards to matches, I think I will be up there in any
Would you
major
say it's
city.
like closer to like 20 a day, 50 a day, 100 a day? Like, what do you think? Just a ballpark.
So what are you classifying as matches in the section where
I'm just,
girls
yeah,
who
I just
like
mean if
me?
a girl likes your profile. That's it. That's all I mean.
Like 20 to 50 a day.
Okay. Yeah, that's really solid. Yeah, I would say I'm probably about 10-ish per day per app. So with like 3 apps, I'm at like 30 a day, something like that. But yeah, something around then. If I do a boost, I'll go up to like 30. Obviously, it also depends on where I am. If I'm in Colombia, that's closer to like 40 a day, right? So, but in
Yeah.
Miami, it's around like 10-ish a day. I would say that out of 10 matches, I'll find like three of the girls attractive enough to match with. So it's like three solid matches
Yeah.
per app. Comes out to like 10 matches per day. That's like, it's more than enough volume if you
Exactly.
know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So the second part of your funnel, you're talking about basically how you're screening the girls very meticulously. Let me ask you this question: are you inviting the girls straight to your place, or are you meeting them for a public date?
No, I stopped going on dates probably like 2 years ago and come right over. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Because
the way to
I
go.
realized, yeah, I used to go out on dates because I was just indoctrinated on that's the proper thing to do. But then I think one situation happened where the girl had to come over and like it was raining, like something was happening. And I was like, okay, this girl came over, no objections. Let's see if we can keep doing it. And then of course I still did with objections, but my text and the phrasing that I do, I phrase it in such a way where it comes off so like super genuine. I'm not like a yo, come over, have some wine, and like I don't make it obvious. It's just the way I come off. It's just so I want to say manipulative, but it's just so genuine where you almost can't give any objections, especially after the conversation we have, after me sending some voice notes, some comfort building techniques. I implemented that too. I still every now and then, especially with really attractive women, I've accepted that with really attractive women, I usually got to go out in public first. And I personally do that just because I don't want to take the risk of turning them off or whatever. But if I'm dealing with like a 7.5, a 8, even an 8.5, most of the times, like I phrase it for them to come over. And I would
Do you have
say
any videos
70.
where you break down your like texting and stuff like that? Do you have any videos like that?
I do. Not on YouTube though, man. I put it behind a paywall
Uh,
on Patreon or my mentorship in Digital Romeo. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, fair enough. So here's like the three things that transformed Tinder for me. Potentially a fourth one. The first one is when I realized that shirtless photos, instead of being douchey, are actually your best tool. So when I learned about like the power of using a shirtless photo, that's when I saw a big difference in my like how many girls I was sleeping with off Tinder. The second big game changer for me was when I realized that you want your bio to be very polarizing and sexual. Back in the day, you used to be able to do what I call the 50 Shades of Grey bio. You can't really do that anymore, but you can still make it like quite sexual. So doing that was the second thing. And the third thing was when I realized you could invite girls straight over. And then you just save so much time because the girls who are down to come straight over, there's like a 95% chance she wants to smash. The odds are really high. Versus if you're meeting a girl in public, it's like more like 50-50. So
Mhm.
for
I
me, that
agree.
was like another game changer. I think the third one was when I realized you could use takeaways if the girl's being non-compliant and just how effective those are. But that one wasn't as like substantial as the other ones. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I would say those are like
I agree with the fitness photos. I've naturally just done that just because I've had pictures of me shirtless. So I agree with that. I'm not sure about the sexual bio. I don't think I've ever tried like a something like that. But yeah, the girls coming over, that's I was gonna say the girls who message me first too, also they're way more likely to come over versus a girl who I also have to
sure.
message first. Like they're not coming over, you know.
Yeah, investment is king. Investment is like the most like people sometimes focus on the wrong things, like oh, this girl's being nice, or oh, this girl's like I don't know, like using a lot of emojis. But I don't care about any of that stuff. I just care investment. How much is the girl investing? And if you have a lot of investment, I don't even care if it's like mostly negative investment. You can turn that around. What you can't do, or typically you can't do, is take a girl who's not investing at all, who's giving you nothing, and make that into something. That's really rare that you can do that.
Mhm.
But it's very easy to take a girl who's giving you a lot of investment, even if it's negative, and like turn it around. Like I remember one time, it's like one of my favorite stories. This chick matched with me, and she was like, "Your bio is despicable, and I don't even know how someone like you could use a bio like that." And she's like, I'm just matched with you purely out of curiosity to find out what gave you the balls to say that. I was like, all right, I'll tell you, but it has to be on the phone. She's like, all right, call me 5 minutes later. I'm going over her place to fuck, right? Like one of the easiest ways
Yeah.
ever, right? But again, because I had a lot of investment, right? But if you have a girl just giving you one word answers, that's tough. Those are the toughest ones to turn around.
Yeah,
For
but
sure.
sometimes you after a while you deal with so many different types of girls. Example, you have girls who will message you first, but still give low investment, or be non-compliant even though they hit you up first. So you got to deal with like all these little nuances of like different women and different personalities and all that stuff. But I think with the amount of matches I get and just overall is learning. I'm not sure if you classify as red pill or like understanding female nature and all that stuff too. But through that stuff, it's allowed me to have a really big abundance mindset in which if I get any sort of low investment, I just simply move on. Like I don't double text, I don't follow up, I don't like if anything throughout time, they'll come and follow back up with me because they see that I don't care. So I
Mm.
think that's one of the things where I
We
found your
get that.
strategy sort of interesting, sort of what you do. And funny enough, I was testing your sort of strategy. You implemented in business too, even on this podcast. Like you followed up quite a bit of times for us
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get on here, right?
I hit
And
you with some takeaways. Like, I mean, look, are you even interested in doing this podcast? Yeah.
yeah, so that was that was a test because I wanted to see how often you would actually follow up, and it makes sense and actually work. Obviously, we're on this podcast now, and a
Right.
big part of dating too is catching a girl at the right time. So that's where I see the benefit of following up. Like maybe you're just catching her at the wrong time and then you follow up and now she's single, available, less emotional or whatever. And now she's more likely to meet. But I just don't have the patience for that when I have 5 other women who I'm messaging who are also potentially down to be in your
Yeah.
spot and I'm trying to put you out. So you definitely got to earn that abundance mindset. And the strategies that I teach too in regards to waiting for girls to message you first, I don't advise that to average men or guys who don't get the amount of matches I get. I just let
Mm.
them know, like, of course you can message first, and I've definitely slept with women who I have had to message first, but just know that it's going to come with BS. You're going to deal with women not responding back. You're going to deal with women ghosting. You're going to deal with women going on dates and then not going nowhere. So as long as you're prepared for that and it's a part of the game, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, like the thing is, you have to be persistent without coming off as needy or creepy. So, like, imagine if, like I don't know, you're like, yeah, man, I'll let you know in a few months, and I'm like, please, bro, like, why? Like, like that, that's like you'd be like, all right, this guy's weird as fuck. But it's the same thing with women, right? If you're like, if a girl's like, oh, I'm busy this weekend, and you're like, come on, why not, right? Like, you're done, right? You come off needy. So
Mhm.
it's like you can be very actually persistent. I learned this from doing sales. I used to work in sales for 6 years. A lot of what I know about game, I like just reverse engineered a lot of sales concepts. And I was like known at my company for being able to take people who like said no to other salespeople and get them to buy. And that's just because I would just follow up like a motherfucker. Like, and sometimes they'd be like, dude, you know what? Like, I don't even want your product, but I admire your fucking persistence. So let me hear what you have to say. And then I would have them, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, if you have like the massive amounts of abundance coming in, like, yeah, there's no need to do any of that. Like, I agree with that completely. I guess I would say it's just like most people don't have that. Like, most people are getting like 2, 3, 4 matches a day. So for them, they do need to be able to be like more persistent because otherwise they just won't get laid for like 6 months. But yeah, if you get to a point where you have so many matches coming in that it doesn't matter, then yeah, like fucking be picky as fuck. Why not?
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Let me ask you this question: where do you stand on FaceApp? Do you use FaceApp for your photos?
So I did teach my group on how to use FaceApp and use it the right way,
Mhm.
the subtle way, which I believe is like Hollywood too, something like that, like the most subtle sort of retouching. And I'm a
Mhm.
big advocate on retouching in the most natural way. But for
Mhm.
me, I do everything manually because I have a good eye for stuff and I understand certain tools and how to make I I understand objective attraction, so I understand how to use certain tools to make somebody look more attractive manually.
Mhm.
But if you don't know how to do that, then I believe FaceApp can be a good tool in regards to presenting the best version of yourself in the most subtle way so that you can level the playing field against women who are using filters and doing the
Mhm.
same exact thing, but even more intense. Women, they get on FaceApp and they use Hollywood 4 maxed out and then post it as if that's not really them. So I'm a big advocate on retouching and presenting your best self through subtle retouching. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned about FaceApp in the last year, but I would say it's been somewhat of a game changer, especially for like clients, because like the cool thing about FaceApp is you can take someone who has a really bad facial expression and make it a good facial expression, like someone who's like this, right? We can't do
Mhm.
anything with that photo, right? But you can actually make it look like they have like a decent smirk on their face. So that's been really cool. And also just touching on blemishes. I mean, you can't take a photo that's like horrible lighting and make it good with FaceApp, but you can take a photo
Mhm.
that's decent and make it pretty good. So I've been a big fan of that, and I think a lot of clients have like said like, "Yo, man, like I'm getting more matches now than ever." And like you said, yeah, like girls are going like 5 steps further. Like girls are fucking dude. So many girls say they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm in good shape." They're fucking like 170 pounds and shit like that using photos from like 10 years ago. I think guys are
Mhm.
not even nearly as close, like on the catfishing side, as women are. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
most
all in
guys look
favor of
better in person.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Most
most
guys
guys.
look better in person, and most girls look better in the pictures.
Facts. Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think in regards to my presentation on online dating and even Instagram, retouching is one of the first principles and practices I started doing in 2019 to set myself apart from every all the other dudes who are just uploading raw pictures to Tinder or whatever. And, so but not in a catfish way, of course.
yeah, I got you. Okay, so I want to move on to this topic. So there's like a low key debate in my community about whether you're a red pillar or a black pillar. So what would you call
Hmm.
yourself? Which one of those communities are you closer to?
You see, the thing about me is that I'm not an extremist towards any sides. That's why I'm not the best at debating. It's because I'm able to see gray areas. So
Mm,
I can take this ideology and I can extract things from that, but I can also look at this one. I can extract things from that and then apply all the principles I learned from everything into one and use it for different scenarios. So in regards to
mm,
what I am, I would say maroon, mixed red, mixed black, because I do take principles of the black pill, and I believe looks are important. I don't believe it's everything, but I do believe it's important. The reason I think that is because I saw the biggest dating change and results was whenever I fixed and really took care of my looks. That's when I noticed the biggest change in regards to my dating options. But at the same time, red pill, the self improvement stuff and just overall understanding female nature. That's what I take from the red pill, is just understanding human and female nature towards certain dating scenarios. So understanding when a girl is not interested in me, understanding when I should cut my losses, understanding why she acts like this under this certain scenario or situation. That's what I took from the red pill. But from the black pill, I just took more from an attraction standpoint of how can I physically make myself the most attractive version of myself. And the red pill
mm.
kind of applies that too, because the red pill is like looks, money, status, really. The black pill is just like it's looks first, and that's the end all be all. If you don't have that, then you're not even getting access. And so
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's so circumstantial, but looks are important, man. I can't lie and say that it's not, because
Yeah,
like
of
I said,
course. I mean, I think pretty much everyone knows that looks matter, but the question is like how much. So I guess if we're looking at like two sides of the coin, game and looks, what percentage would you give each? Like, would you say looks are 50%, 40%, 80%? Just like a ballpark.
it's not a percentage. It's more like a tier system. It's like looks first, game second is what I believe. It's not, because like the looks get you in the door, but you need some sort of like social IQ, charisma, some sort of game plan and strategy that can be conveyed through how you communicate, whether it be in person or through text, in order to get the results that you want in the fastest way possible. So it's like I'm not sure if I could put a percentage on it, but I would say looks is higher than game in my book. But it's
Mm,
not like 80-20. It's more like I would say looks maybe like 70%,
okay.
70%. Because looks alone can get you laid, but it just won't retain her, you know? But when you have the looks in the game and you fall into that tier system, like the girl's really attracted to you, she views you as like an 8, 9, or 10, and then you have the social charisma and the IQ and the swag and all the stuff to go alongside with that. These women literally want to have a baby with you within like 3 months, in my experience, or they want to really lock you down or get into a relationship with you. And I never sort of experienced that level of just raw, genuine desire once you have all those things in place. And I think it stems from just being so physically attracted uh, to me too. So I would say like 70% looks, maybe 30% game, but it depends on what phase you're in. Before meeting a
Hmm.
woman, it's 70-30, but after you make it through that door, it sort of flips. Game becomes a lot more important.
This is kind of how I look at it. You tell me if you agree or disagree with this. So, like, looks is what allows you to get the opportunity, and game is what allows you to convert that opportunity into either lay or relationship, whatever. So, like, if we take a guy who's really good looking and doesn't have any game, and I know people like that, right? They'll have a lot of girls who are either just like kind of waiting for them to open them, or will straight up open the guy. But if their game is really bad, most of those girls at some point will just get bored and walk away. They will only fuck the girls who are just like so into them, like just so attracted to them that they're willing to overlook like all the other aspects, right? The hardcore yes girls, which do exist, but most girls are in the maybe category. Like, yeah, this guy's cute, but I'm not 100% sold on fucking him at this very second. Like, I want to see what he's got. That's kind of the attitude a lot of girls go into it with, especially the hotter girls. But yeah, you can fuck girls. It's just going to be like the hardcore yes girls. And you're going to miss out on a lot of the maybe girls. If you have high level of game but poor looks, you're going to have a really hard time getting your foot in the door. But if you can get your foot in the door, you have a very high likelihood of converting that, right? So the way I've always looked at it is like you kind of want to try to maximize both. Like just focusing on looks and just forgetting about game. It's like, okay, you'll have more opportunities, but you still need to capitalize on those opportunities. Like you don't get any kind of like bonus points for just having a chick think you're cute. Like, I mean, for me personally, I don't care how many girls think I'm attractive. I care about how many girls I sleep with and whatnot. So like that will require social skills game, whatever you want to call it. So it's like, I always thought like, okay, why not maximize both? The only issue with looks, you can only increase your looks by 2-3 points, unless you're fat, in which case it could be larger. But if you're just like not fat, you can maybe go by 2-3 points versus game, kind of the sky's the limit. So yeah, if you're a guy who's like a 5, you can make yourself like a 7 in terms of looks, but then also you can like skyrocket your game. So you have more opportunities, but even the opportunities you get, you're more likely to convert them. What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
No, I agree. I kind of said the same thing, just in a different way. How the looks kind of get you in the door, the game closes it. I agree with everything you just said in regards to that.
Mm.
Uh, it's, especially with the yes girls, meaning that you have the looks, but the game's not there. But some girls will still fuck with you. But if you have on the vice versa, I think it's more difficult on the other hand. If you have like a high level of game, but like not the looks, like the access, and that's friend zone territory. Even if you have like a lot of game, unless you're in the right position at the right time, like you're still gonna struggle, especially in today's society. Like everything's always evolving. Maybe somebody with a big extreme level of game but low looks 10 years ago, like it would have been different. But nowadays with the attention economy, dating apps, options, the stuff we hear over and over again, I think that's why looks have become more important, is because just the access that women have towards the men that they actually want from a physical level is a lot more accessible now. So because of that, that's why I think the black pill and looks have become very talked about and important. Dating apps, it's almost like online shopping for women. Like example, me myself, the woman that you attract, I probably will not attract those. Probably not, right? That's because most women have types. I'm a niche in myself. I'm a black guy, muscular, tattoos. We look different. So with that being said, women go on dating apps with a certain type of guy in mind who they like or who they have experience with, and they pick those guys out just from a look. So, same with social media.
Yeah, I think also though, like a big part of it is it looks as very much like a threshold thing to some extent. So like if you take a guy who's a 3 and a guy who's a 6, it's not like the guy who's a 6 is going to do like 2 times better. He's going to do like 20 times better, right? So there's a massive threshold thing because the guy who's a 6, he's going to meet, a good amount of girls threshold, right? They're not going to be like super excited about him like they might be for like a Giga chat, but he's going to meet their threshold versus the guy who's a 3 is really not going to meet a lot of girls threshold. So, but I think like just by default, most guys are in the middle. Like most guys are like 5s and 6s, right? And some guys are 7s,
Yeah.
some guys are 8s. The guys who are like 10s are just as rare as the guys who are 2s, right? They're both like very rare categories because they're the extreme outliers. But most guys are somewhere in the middle. That means that most guys have potential to looks max to a point where they're going to meet a good amount of girls looks threshold, right? Most guys, like 5% of guys. But there are some guys who definitely are genetically fucked in a way. Like I've coached some of them, like guys who are like 5'3" or have like severe disabilities. Like that's tough. Like that's really tough. You have a major disability or you're like ultra short, like 5'2", 5'3". That is really, really tough. So it's like the question is like, what do you do if you're in that category? Well, I think really obviously look max as much as you can, but it's still not going to get you to a good point. I think you have to take advantage of like social circle type of stuff. Like really dating apps are probably not going to work that well for you, honestly. If you're like the guy who's like naturally a two, right? Like that's dating apps can work for a lot of guys, but not for a small percentage of guys who are really ugly. So for those guys, I think you have to take advantage of like social circle and maybe like cold approach for the right place, right time, or meeting girls through like I don't know, more unique ways where you have a chance to like show off your personality rather than just like it being like looks
Yeah.
being the primary thing. That's kind of
Yeah,
what I would say.
that is true. In regards to the spectrum, I agree with that too. In regards to like the attractive men from a physical aspect are more rare, just as the sub three or whatever you just said is also rare too. And I've noticed even with the most attractive women I've been with, I just ask them questions for like data purposes. Like a lot of them say that I'm personally the most attractive man they have been with, and most of the guys who they got with in the past or even long term ex boyfriends were just average guys. I've seen a lot of them, even for the most attractive women I've been with. So that's where I definitely agree in regards to you got to reach a woman's looks threshold or looks minimum. And then from there, that's where a game can kind of save you once you reach that sort of minimum or right place, right time. You just happen to be in her social circle at the given time frame, which allowed you connection and access towards her. And because she got to know you a little bit, like your looks really aren't that important. So there are a lot of variables with that too. And then also moving on to the sub three guy, I feel the true black pillar exists is basically the guy who you just described. The 5'3", maybe has a high pitched voice, physically deformed, like something is there where people look at him and kind of outcast him just his whole life for whatever physical deformity reason. And so with that being said, your strategy and your game plan does have to be different than that of the average male or what everybody else is doing. Dating apps probably won't work. I
Yeah.
don't even think cold approach will work, honestly. Like dating apps, I think cold approach and dating apps are quite the same nowadays.
Mhm.
I feel that way because whenever you meet a woman through cold approach, it's almost like a in their mind like a swipe right, swipe left before, like as you're starting to speak with her, and so that's why I feel like somebody who's not getting results. It depends on the person, though. So many variables, but if somebody's usually not getting results on dating apps, I feel as if most of the time you're also not going to do good in cold approach either, unless you have just very really good charisma.
Well,
I
I feel
found
like
more.
the majority of guys who are not getting good results from dating apps is like they're not even that ugly. It's just their photos suck. And once I fix their photos, like that, it's a complete night and day difference. Like you mentioned, like the true black pillar who's like a 2 or 3, but that is like a tiny percentage of the black pill community. Like most people in the black pill community are like average looking dudes. Like they're not really good looking. They're not really ugly. They're just average dudes, right? Who haven't really looked max typically nearly as much, which is an interesting paradox that you find. But they're just like your average fucking dude, right? And they like, they
Mhm.
have potential. It's just like they don't really capitalize on it. In terms of like cold approach and dating apps being similar, I mean, there are definitely a lot of similarities, I would say for sure. But there's also a sizable percentage of girls who don't fuck with dating apps. Like they do exist. And so for those girls, like the idea of even like swiping is like kind of foreign. So those, especially if you go out during the daytime, like you're going for more like wholesome girls, so as to speak, like yeah, just like a lot of girls are just like really hate the idea of dating apps. Maybe they tried it for like a week, but they really don't like it. Um, I think it's like a misconception in the manosphere that like women love fucking dating apps because they get all the power. Every single girl I've ever talked to, and I've had female clients say they fucking hate dating apps.
Mhm. Yeah, I know a lot of women who hate dating apps like the traditional Tinder, even Bumble sometimes. But if a woman, in my experience, if a woman is single and available, she's at least have used something or is actively on some sort of dating app. At the least Hinge. I think Hinge is becoming one of those dating apps where it's like I don't use Tinder, I don't use Bumble, but I use
Um,
Hinge.
yeah,
Hinge is
I agree.
becoming like that sort of platform. Um, so yeah, it's rare that I find a woman who's single available. Even the woman who I met through Code Approach, I met at the gym. A few weeks later, swiping, I see them on a dating app. So I think,
Interesting.
yeah, if she's single and available, I believe she's putting herself out there somewhere.
I feel like for me it's 50-50. Like 50% of the girls I meet through cold approach are either actively on dating apps or have used them a lot, but like the other 50% either never used it or they used it very briefly a while ago and they don't use it and they just think it's like kind of corny. I don't know. For me, it's been like you said, we probably attract different types of girls, so that could probably play into like the sample bias. Um,
Yeah.
there's one other thing that I was going to add to that about cold approach. I forgot what it was. All right, let me move on to the next question then. So this is a question a lot of people want me to ask you. What is one ideology of the red pill, and then what is one ideology of the black pill that you personally disagree with?
Personally disagree with. I gotta sift through all the. Yeah, that's hard for me to just pick off the top of my head. I would need to list all the. I would need to see like a list of
Like,
all the
okay, I'll
talking
give you.
points.
Do you want me to give you some examples of the things I disagree with? Maybe that'll like help the creative process.
Yeah.
So, one idea that I don't know if I 100% disagree with, but largely disagree with, in with the red pill is like this idea of hypergamy, that all women are these hypergamous beings, and that will basically bounce to like if a higher value guy comes along. I think hypergamy exists, but I think there's some women who are really hypergamous and a lot of women who are barely hypergamous. And as long as the girl sexual and emotional needs are being met in a relationship, and she's not just like a piece of shit who just cheats for like her own sick pleasure, like she's not going to leave because a higher value guy comes along. Like this is something like I have a girlfriend, and like just by default of the fact that she's a girl, like she has way more options than me, right? Like I'm sure like, constantly, better looking guys will probably hit her up, or like millionaires or whatever. But I never like even lose a night's of sweat over that, because I know like, okay, sure, these guys may be higher value, but I have massive amounts of emotional and sexual investment. Like that's not just going to go away. So I feel like that's like a component that the red pillars kind of forget about. Also, I feel like they completely skip the fact that men are hypergamous as well. Like men level up all the time. Like you see like the guy who gets rich
Make
and
more
then
money and upgrade their girl. Yeah.
yeah, they leave their wife for 30 years for like a younger bimbo, right? Like, so men do the same exact shit. So that's like, for example, one thing that I don't know, I disagree with the
Mm.
red pill on. In terms of the black pill, I really disagree with like the doomer type of stuff. That's like it's I don't know if that's part of like mainstream black pill ideology, although I see it a lot. It's like it's over, bro. It's like whatever. You're not a Chad. Just don't even bother. Rope a cope. Get a sex doll, man. Like it's not even worth it to even try. Like I really, really hate that mindset. And I think it's extremely toxic, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just not a good
Gotcha.
mindset.
Gotcha. Okay, from those points, I was able to think of some stuff. First, talking about your red pill hypergamy point, I do agree that attachment, just overall attachment, whatever that entails, which could be sexual and emotional needs, as you stated, overrides hypergamy. So
Mm.
if let's say a woman has been with some guy for 3-4 years and I send her a DM, like there's been, I do loyalty tests. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
coming
I've
from
seen that.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
a lot of women pass a loyalty test. I show the fellas, but actually a lot of women pass, even for the guys who sort of look like me, they're don't have as much status, maybe not as attractive as me, they still pass a loyalty test. So I feel like attachment does override hypergamy. In regards, I was going to say something else. The thing I disagree about the red pill is that it's only about female nature. You kind of tied into that too. I believe the red pill talking points, it really relates back to overall just human nature. It's just more
Mm.
emphasized on females because they're put in a position to where they're able to sort of access that nature to act that way. If everything was reversed and men had the options, if women had to fight for the men would be just as much assholes as they describe women
Mm.
to be too. It's
Yep.
human nature.
Completely agree. Completely agree with you on that. That's a good point.
Yeah. And
That's
then
a that's a good point.
from the black pill perspective, um, I would say there are a few things I don't agree. Some guys say like working out is a waste of time because if you don't have the
Oh
frame, or if you're like a four in the face, like it's just a cope, or if you're 5'6" and you work out, it's just going to make you look shorter and it comes off like you're trying to. I don't agree with stuff like that. I
yeah.
believe no matter how you look or how short you are, having a great physique, having some sort of decent muscle base while being a low percent body fat will take you further than being on any extreme of skinny or overweight or even just being average, honestly. Um, and shout out to Wheat Waffles. I do watch his stuff. I think Wheat Waffles is an example. I think one time he said he doesn't want to niche himself down too much. That's why he doesn't engage in some of these things like working out or like getting tattoos and all this other stuff. But I think Wheat Waffles will have way more appeal about himself if he was to get a bit more jacked, personally. Despite what he classifies himself as. But that's getting a bit off topic.
Don't you also with the, go ahead.
I was going to say, lastly, also with the black pill, is just that looks is the end all be all. Looks is important, but it's not the end all be all. And I think the biggest thing I've learned through that is just through personal experiences. Like, people are chronically online, as the term is called, where they just divide themselves in these communities and they don't actually step outside and live real life and see like what's happening outside in real life. And there's been countless, and when I say countless, I mean countless times in high school, college, even in my everyday life now, where I see average to even below average men from a physical aspect are with pretty attractive women. They could be compensating in other sort of attraction pillar. Maybe they have a great job. Maybe they're the manager at some firm and they have a bit of status, and then they got the cute secretary. There's also variables to that too, but looks still isn't the end all be all. There's compensating factors is what I'm saying. But they over exaggerate the compensating factors too, because they'll say just be a rapper, bro.
I'm not saying be a boxing. Yeah. It's like kind of shaming Wang.
Just make $1 million, bro. And like, I think they should get outside and live more real life and see what's happening.
Dude, you made some really, really solid points. I agree with every single thing you just said. Especially the last thing you said about like people. I think when you spend your whole day online, you become really disillusioned with what the average person thinks. Like, and I see this a lot. Like, these guys are like have such tunnel vision because their only interaction, or most of the interactions with other people on the internet. But when you talk to like normies or like girls or whatever, they look at this stuff and they think this is fucking cringe. Yeah, like I put this clip up, Chad, you know who I'm talking about, of this like podcast, right, where there was like a little bit of an incident, and a lot of people were like, no, bro, that's totally normal. I'm like, dude, show that to any girl or any dude who's not online. They're gonna think this is weird as fuck. So yeah, I think that like that is a huge component of it as well, online brain. And yeah, I do think that they do over just obsessed with look. Also, find it really ironic that the community of people who says looks are the only things that matter, like 5% of them are actually jacked. It's like literally 95% of them are either skinny fat or just fat. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if my whole thing was like, dude, I'm like already in really good shape, and I think looks is like maybe 50%. But if I thought looks was like 100%, I would be fucking like looks maxing to the teeth. I'd be like fucking, like have 8 packs and shit like that. I don't know. I feel like that's like, if that's your whole thing, why not like follow up on that? So yeah, it's not.
And I think that's why people think I'm super black pill, is because they see that I implement those aspects of looks maxing like to the fullest in my own life. But I'm just obsessive. I just want to maximize every pillar of attraction pillar that I have. I want to max out looks to the fullest. I don't want to be like 60, 70%. I want to be 99.9. With money, I want to be 99.9. With status, I want to be 99.9. So I think just how I go about that stuff, that's why people think, he must be like super black pill, because he's implementing all these black pill techniques and looks maxing concepts, which is true. But I'm also doing it in every other pillar also.
Yeah. Well, I really like the looks maxing element of the black pill. Are you familiar with men's maxing?
I've seen some of his stuff. He was associated with somebody I knew. Yeah.
Yeah. His whole like channel is basically about like practical looks maxing. Like, I really like stuff like that. I just don't like the complaining, whining, victim mindset, and all of that shit, which is what I feel like a large part of it.
I don't like that with the red pill either. I think that's one thing that I kind of got over. I think it was more of a bigger trend back in 2020, 2021, 2019, where it's more like complaining content, like just whining. Yeah. It's like, okay, yes, woman, some are hypergamous, she flaked on you, bro. Like, get over it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, like I feel like some of these red pillars have legit convinced themselves that they're at like a massive disadvantage just because they're a man. And like, but like that's funny because that's the same argument that feminists make. It's like, oh, I'm a woman, so I have no chance of success because of this like race or whatever this sexist world. But then the red pillars
Mhm.
just like some of them will do like the exact opposite. It's like you guys are both wrong. Like anyone can succeed. In
Yeah,
2023, I don't care if you're man or woman. Like unless you're 5'2", in which case it's gonna be hard. But like if you're as
yeah.
long as you're not, that's not the case. Like you're good, man. Like, but yeah, like the victim shit is like never good for your self
Yeah.
development or just thing.
A
I want
man's
to ask
life
you.
is harder though, but I agree with you.
I think it has different challenges. In some ways, it is definitely harder in the fact that like when it comes to like dating or mating or whatever, because like a
Mhm.
woman just by default will have like insane amounts of options. Now she deals with different challenges because she has to screen out the bad guys, like the guys who are no, I mean that, I don't mean like they're gonna beat her. I just mean that they're like either not real, they're liars, they're cheaters, not just in a relationship with her. All the guys who are just saying whatever it takes to get laid. So, that she needs to develop really good social acuteness to screen out all the guys who are like not on the same page as her. Um,
Yeah.
Versus for a guy, like it's not we don't have a lot of options right off the bat unless you're like a giga chat. Like you have to develop that and that takes
Mhm.
meticulous work. So in that way, it is definitely harder. Yeah, you can make an argument. I feel like for why it's
Yeah.
harder to be a man in terms of certain ways. I want to ask you this. This is actually the last question I have that the guys were asking. How can black guys take advantage of niche appeal?
As a black guy, you're already a niche. You are a niche. That's the thing. Black men are a niche. But if you want to take full advantage to max out your niche appeal as a black man, muscles, tattoos, sex appeal. You have
Mm.
the sex appeal max, as guys say, and that's what I've implemented myself. Um,
I
and
feel like that
whenever you do,
applies to like white guys and Asian guys as well. Honestly, though, like muscles and tattoos probably will help any guy.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But more, I feel like as black men, especially with white women who are into black men, because I've dated all races and I attract all races. But more specifically, when I attract like white women or Hispanic women, they tend to look like my niche as an overall. Like if I wasn't muscular, if I didn't have tattoos, if I didn't have jewelry, earrings, and like just overall my look about myself, they probably wouldn't be into like the everyday average Joe looking black dude, even if I was
Right,
like
right.
attractive in the face. So to maximize your niche appeal as a black man, you got a sex appeal max and maximize your sex appeal to the fullest through all the stuff I just talked about. And that's how you'll do it. Yeah.
One line I really like that I think this is from Tay Social, but I don't know because it's been a while. Is put this in your Tinder bio if you're a black guy. I tell all my black clients to do this. Just here to fulfill all your BBC fantasies. That line is just fucking dope. If you're a black guy,
You're
like
gonna
I just
yeah, you're gonna attract a lot of
no
fetishes
bunnies
or
or
fetishizers.
yeah. Yeah, but I feel like that like like a lot of girls. I mean, like some girls are legitimately colorblind. Like they don't really care about like your race, right? They're just like find you attractive or you seem interesting. But also like some girls are just they just want like the BBC fantasy. At this point, it's like just kind of like a fantasy, which is why I often said like it's gotta suck to be a black guy that has a small penis because like every girl's expecting you to be packing, and then you're like, sorry, like I don't know. So I feel like that's gotta be worse as a black guy to have a small penis than a white guy because at least with a white guy, no one's like really expecting that much. But yeah, I feel like if you just play into that just a little bit, like I don't feel like you shouldn't lean into it too much so it doesn't become a meme. But just leaning into it just a little bit, I think, can go a long way. It's kind of what I observed.
Yeah, I've noticed even without that, like naturally, even the more you sex appeal max and like just get your sex appeal on the fullest, you're naturally going to attract women who sort of fetishize black men, and it is what it is. But yeah, each race has their own issues too. I guess that's another black pill thing that I sort of agree with too. Is that even if on a balance of probability of attract 9 white guy, 9 black guy, 9 Hispanic guy, 9 Indian guy, every guy is still going to attract different women, and more races will attract higher volume of women on a global scale. I had a viral short when I said that too, and there's a lot of war in the comments, but that's one thing I do agree with in regards to black pill is the race pill, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously plays a role. I think the hardest races though is Indian and Asian. I think white guys, black guys, Hispanic guys, we're like somewhat on easy street compared to Indian and Asian. Those I feel like for guys like the hardest. Like
I agree with that too. There's a hierarchy for sure. Same with women. Black women are on the lowest, I believe.
that is true, but just because women have so many options in general, like even like I feel like unattractive black women will do better than like an average white guy. Like we did this, I don't know if you saw this, we did this Tinder experiment. We took photos of my mom and we face apped her to make her look like she's 70 years old. Because my mom's like on the younger side, she's like 53, 54. Made her look like a fucking grandma. She got 1,000 likes in 48 hours.
Jesus, man.
Insane sanity, man. It'll take me a month to get like a fucking 1,000 likes, you know. So it's like a fucking grandma can outcompete, me, which is like okay. We did one with the Nabis girl who was like 300 pounds. She hit something like 400 likes in 24 hours, like crazy numbers. So
yeah, man.
it's an interesting
Makes
world.
sense,
Okay, so here's a question I want to ask you. I know you've done a lot of the loyalty tests. What was like the craziest shit you've seen during the loyalty test?
Oh, this happened literally a month ago. So the guy paid me for a loyalty test, was messaging the girl. Came to find out she was on a work trip in my city. So the guy is like from somewhere in Georgia. I forgot where. But the girl who I was messaging was doing a work trip in Orlando, Florida, which is where I live. I live in Orlando. And so it was like perfect timing. Messaged her. She was receptive, high interest, got her number, and she was literally down to come over. But the night, and I was sort of messaging him. I was like, yo, I can keep taking it far. Like, are you sure? Like communicating. And he was cool with it. But I was actually gonna flake. I obviously wasn't gonna meet up with her, but I was gonna flake last minute. But she ended up sort of flaking last minute for whatever reason, maybe the guilt or whatever. But like she went through the full funnel, man. I'm talking. We had conversations. We FaceTimed. She was in my city. She sent me her address, the Airbnb she was staying. She agreed to come over. We made plans to get food and then have some wine at my place. We set time plans, and then I think an hour before, she just kind of went ghost. Kind of went ghost, and that was after a lot of investment. Like we FaceTime for like 20 minutes and everything, and that's the craziest one I've had so far because everything just aligned so well. I hate to say it, but she's actually attractive too. Like she was like a girl that I would actually like hook up with. So it was interesting, man.
Did the guy break up with her, or what happened in the end?
I have no idea. I after this situation, I sent him all the messages. I blocked her, and I have no idea what happens. Guys really don't follow up after. They're like, yeah, thanks, bro, appreciate it. And I don't hear from them again. I don't know.
I would venture to say like 50% of the guys like still keep dating the girl. Like I think also like an issue that I agree with the red pill on is like guys have like really low standards and they're willing to put up with like really unethical behavior just because they're getting pussy. Like one of my really good friends, like a very long story, but the long and short of it is I found out his girlfriend was cheating. I had irrefutable proof. I showed it to him. He said thank you, and then he wound up marrying her 2 years later. And he even like didn't even invite me to the wedding because he said it would be awkward because I was the one that like exposed her for cheating. So it's like yeah, like dudes are like a lot of these dudes will just like put up with cheating, man, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Like that should be a hardcore. Like if a girl ever even makes out with another guy, that's it. Like that's the end of that relationship.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen crazy stuff. Guys, in times where a woman has failed the loyalty test, and I send the messages back, there has been times where the guys kind of asking me like, "What do you think I should do, bro?" Like they're kind of evading and like want confirmation of me telling them to stay with her. And I'm like, bro, you clearly want to stay with her. You clearly want to forgive her for this. So just do what you want to. You already know what I'm going to say. So yeah, guys will evade the truth a lot, man. I've noticed that.
Yeah, the problem is that if she cheats once, she's going to cheat again. It's not going to be a one-time thing. It's never a one-time thing.
Yeah,
it's always going to happen again. So I mean, I feel like that's just not a good place to be in as a man. So
Yeah.
here's the last question I have for you on my list. You mentioned earlier that you made some mistakes along the way when it comes to like whatever leveling up, whatever you want to call it. What were some of those mistakes?
Hmm. More when I was thinking about mistakes, it was more from like a financial perspective, meaning that I could have operated business a certain way a little bit more optimally. Like this marketing strategy could have been a little bit better, or I could have implemented this content strategy to instead of doing this what I did, or even with partnerships like having bad business partnerships that led me to losing time and money,
Same.
stuff like that. I feel like every entrepreneur at some point goes through that. And those were more the trials and tribulations that I faced, just more from a financial and business perspective. In regards to my anything else, my own self improvement, I don't think there are any big hurdles or anything. It was pretty streamlined, actually. I mean, in regards to dating and dealing with women, though, like you deal with some BS inevitably too. The more women you deal with, had to call the cops on girls. I had girls who showed up unannounced. I have girls who wouldn't leave. Like just the drama that comes with just dating a large volume of women. And inevitably, you're going to deal with some sort of drama. Girls stalking you and like being mad that you're talking to somebody else, though you told them you were open and talking to other people, but they're still angry about it, and stuff like that I deal with too. So
Yeah, I would say for me, one of the things was just not being as transparent as I should have been. Like in my earlier relationships, I would be like, I would hint at the fact that I don't want to be monogamous and I still want to fuck other girls, but I would never clearly communicate that. And then there would be like this confusion. And then like the girl would know I fucked another chick and she would get like really like upset about it. I was like, well, I sort of told you, I hinted at it. Right. So like now, like kind of the way I fixed that, and I think it works so much better, is just like just being really straight up, like, hey, listen, I don't think I'm capable of monogamy on my end. Like, I just want to be upfront with you. And like a lot of girls will respect that. And that just saves yourself a lot of headaches later on. I feel like I could have just avoided a lot of headaches with my previous girlfriends if I was just more upfront right off the bat.
yeah, being
That's kind of
being
what I was.
honest is the best way in the long run, honestly. So
Yeah. But dude, I think this was a dope podcast. We agree on a lot of shit, which is interesting. I think some people thought we would disagree on a lot, but I think we agree on like fucking 98% of the things that we discussed. But yeah, I thought it was a really good discussion. I'm going to do an after show now, which basically where I just answer questions. You're more than welcome to stay on, or if you got a dip, no worries as well. But yeah, your call.
I can stay on for like a few more minutes, like 5 more minutes.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Do you want to quickly plug your channel or anything else that you want to mention?
Sure. Yeah. So I have my self improvement channel is Austin Dunham Vlogs, where I talk about self improvement techniques through increasing your looks, attractiveness, maybe some game stuff, sharing just overall my experiences. I do vlogs too. So stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning more of what I have to say in my experiences and overall how you can become better in all those realms of the attraction pillars through status, looks, money, even, then check me out, Austin Dunham Vlogs. Yeah.
What would you recommend for the average guy in terms of status, like who's not in college who can't join a fraternity?
So there's different forms of status. There's like in real life status, and then there's also like digital status.
Mhm.
With the economy that we're in today, anybody can be a quote unquote content creator and build some status on their Instagram, build some status on their TikTok. So I believe if you have something to share or if you're good at something, you should definitely be sharing it. Especially nowadays, it's so easy to build status online. And then in person, if you're an average guy, whatever job you're at, whatever thing you're doing, always try to be in the leadership role. Like get out of your comfort zone, try to be in the leadership role so that you can have access to higher networks, and also that is a position of status in itself, is being in a position of leadership. So even if I had a normal corporate job or whatever, I will always be trying to figure out how can I become the manager, how can I lead this organization, how can I put my hand in something. So
Okay, fair enough. Ironic how Alex says this about cheating. He himself admitted cheating. Yeah, I mean, I admit that that was a mistake, though. This was when I was 23, 24. The girl never found out, so she I don't know how she would have broken up with me. She didn't know. But yeah, it was a shitty thing to do, and it's not something I'm going to do. It's not something I'm proud of. I'm saying that just in the interest of being transparent. But yeah, I do think you should not put up with cheating. Just because I did something 10 years ago that was shitty doesn't mean that like it's a good idea. Like I don't know how that's a confusing point. Money or looks, if you could max one out playing with fire. Okay, for me, in terms of dating, it would definitely be looks. I think looks goes way further than money. I think red pillars really overvalue how much money plays into your dating status. Plays a huge role. Money, unless you're going for gold diggers, in my opinion, is really not that big of a deal. But where do you stand on that?
With just pure dating, I would say looks too. But the thing about money is that money can buy status, and then money can also, given you're at like a five, let's say you're an average. If I was an average guy, I would say money. If I was below average, I would say looks. Because
Yeah, I would definitely
money
be
can buy
hardcore.
status.
I would definitely be hardcore in the looks category because if you take someone like Bill Gates, I did a video about Bill Gates. It was called like, "Is Bill Gates a high value man?" Actually, a lot of people were disagreeing with me, but I made the argument that he's not really like, at least not when it comes to dating. Like, sure, he's a multi-billionaire, but like, what are the kind of girls that are going to want to date Bill Gates? It's just going to be gold diggers. Like, is there really any girl that's going to be legitimately interested in Bill Gates? Like, come on, like compare him to like Joe Rogan, you know, like a lot of girls will genuinely, I mean, I know he's married, but like a lot of girls are genuinely
Damn, we're
interested in
good.
Joe Rogan. Like aside from the fact that he's rich, he's funny, he's charismatic, he's got a good personality, he's in good shape for his age, right? He's got a lot of things going for him. Versus if you're just only thing of going for you is money, I feel like you're just going to try gold diggers, and
Yeah,
it's kind of like
yeah. That's Bill Gates is a square. That's why. That's his own fault.
yeah, playing with fire. How many times has Austin been posted to the "Are we dating the same guy" Facebook group? Are you familiar with this group?
Yeah, I actually logged into a girl's Facebook, joined the group to see what was going on in there, and they posted nothing but like old guys. At least in my area, it's just like these middle aged like white men, like
Oh yeah,
guys who look like
I'm
me
in
are
there.
not posting
No,
that.
I'm in the group. There, I actually saw some chads in that group. Yeah, the girls just fucking, yeah, just massive amounts of hate. Uh, Alex, why not? Why do you not challenge Gangster in the pickup you code by saying it should happen in Miami? Well, he's the one that challenged me. I accepted. I said he could pick any bar in South Florida. I think that's pretty fair. That's like 1,000 bars. He can bring his own people. He can videotape it on his end. But I'm not going to fly across the country for someone who's entirely irrelevant and probably not going to show up. So, yeah, I feel like saying any bar in South Florida he can pick is more than reasonable. So yeah, he's the one that's not doesn't want to do it, not me. I'm 100% down. What are the best clothing brands, stores, sites Austin recommends to make it easy to get good style out? Okay, good question.
Yeah, so when it comes to clothes and style, fit is like 80% the thing. So you got to make sure your body's on point, all that stuff too. But once you do that, the clothes and stores that I prefer in the United States, always actually international too, Zara. Get a lot of
Mm.
stuff from Zara. Zara just has really tailored sort of fitting clothes, good materials, and reasonable, affordable prices. That's in regards to retail. Online, some of my favorites are Boohoo Man. Honestly, I was sponsored by them a little bit, but a lot of the stuff where people are asking me, "Where'd you get that from?" It's either from Zara or Boohoo Man. And at this point in time, I have so many clothes. So whenever I want something, I would just search on Google like leather jacket or leather short sleeve zipper jacket. And usually Fashion Nova Men, Boohoo Man, something will pop up, or even ASOS, whatever it's called. So I kind of get from everywhere, but Zara and Boohoo Man are my main two.
Yeah, Zara's dope. A website I really like is Cuts Clothing. Their shirts, they're a little bit pricey. They're like, I'm wearing one right now. They're like $50, but they fit really, really well. Better than like any other brand I've ever seen. They just sit really well. It was actually Austin, another Austin who introduced me to that, Austin Summers. But yeah, I
Oh
really
yeah,
like. I would recommend Cuts Clothing, especially if you have a little bit of a budget. So like $50 is not like the end of the world for you. Okay, here's an
yeah.
interesting question. Austin, were you surprised with how much backlash you got with the video you made with Jack and Stacked about black women dating thugs?
Yeah, so me and a YouTuber named Jack and Stack, we made a video talking about how black men can be more attractive, and we got into the topic of thug maxing, in which where black men kind of Well, actually, it was more about we're talking about how black women don't necessarily like our look. They tend to go for more that sort of thug hood sort of personality and look, and that's why I have more success and experience with white and Hispanic women. And so that got reposted on Twitter to a section of Twitter called Black Twitter, and people were just going crazy. Black women, black dudes, they were saying like these dudes are zesty or these dudes have no game, without any knowledge or experience of my background with women, the amount of women I've been with, and all that stuff. And then, so yeah, I was pretty surprised by it, but honestly, I was surprised, but I wasn't at the same time. Like, I was surprised that it got clipped by context on Twitter. Like, my YouTube channel is pretty niche. I don't understand how something like that can go low key viral on Twitter, but that goes to show like anything you post on the internet could be resurfaced. And that was like 6 months after we filmed it too.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes there's a delayed effect. Playing with fire in Austin. Any tips to committing to a diet? I'll work out, cold approach weekly, and even focus on leveling up my income. Maintain diet is what I struggle with the most. What's your take on that? And then I'll give my opinion.
Committing to a diet is finding a diet that you like and that you can stick to. So finding the foods that you actually enjoy, and then fitting that into whatever macronutrient or caloric goal that is good for you. So example, if you're trying to lose fat or even maintain, you need to eat 2,500 calories a day. Create a meal plan for yourself that consists of 3 to 4 meals that you can consistently eat that you actually thoroughly enjoy. And whenever you're hungry, just eat those and follow a meal plan. I think with committing to a diet, that's the easiest thing you can do. And then you also got to want it bad enough too. I think with diet, just most people just really don't want it that bad, and that's why they kind of don't follow or stick with it.
Yeah, I think like any habit, there's like a period where you have to, but once you like learn the habit, it becomes really easy. I think tracking calories is really important. There's an app called MyFitnessPal that like literally does a lot of the work for you. But yeah, I mean, there's really no way around that. It's like if you're going to the gym, but you're not like the diet isn't dialed in, like you're wasting your time. Honestly, like diet is probably one of the most important things when it comes to like fitness. So you can't skip that part. It's not like something that you can kind of skip and still get away with it. It's not like that. Like so, you're just wasting your time with the working out if you're not like focusing on your diet. That's what I would say.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, let's see what other questions we have. Stop being strong. This is an interesting question. What age did attracting women stop being a struggle for you?
For me, struggle, I think it was 23. 23. Because that was a time frame where I've really grown into how I look now. Anything pre 23 years old, like I think is also maturing and just everything about myself as a person. Like once I hit that about 23 mark, that's when everything is a lot more easier for me personally.
Ask Austin if he does intermittent fasting to cut in aesthetics.
No, I don't, because intermittent fasting, the way I look at it, sure, there's some health benefits, this, that, or the other, but the way I was looking at it is for a way to make my calories less throughout the day so that I can hit a caloric goal. I already have a
Mhm.
low appetite. I'm already an ectomorph. I already struggle to gain weight. So why am I intermittent fasting? So nah, I eat breakfast.
Mhm. And let's do maybe one last one. Is Austin Dunham all natural, and what's his weight?
Yes, all natural. Never used any drugs. Never even considered it. I'm way too afraid to. From a health perspective. Like when I did physicals in school, I got diagnosed with a heart murmur one time, and like doing anything from a drug perspective has always scared me. So I never even considered it. So yes, I'm natural, and my weight, I'm 175, 5 foot 11.
Okay. Johnny just had one quick question he wanted to ask you. He's
Yeah,
been asking me a
so
lot. He's a
I'm
frequent
Johnny.
viewer
I
of the
just wanted to
channel.
introduce
So I wanted
myself
to
too.
go ahead and
Austin.
ask you. What's up?
Nice,
What's up, man?
nice to meet you. That's like my exact height and weight too. I'm like 175, 5'11".
Nice,
So
man. Yeah.
basically, it actually has to do with that. I wanted to ask if the type that you fit, like the niche that you fit, is what I'm trying to say. I just wanted you to explain what that is a little bit, and then if I also fit that as being like a light skinned man, being white and black, if I fit something similar or if it's different.
I'm gonna use the bathroom while you guys are talking about that.
Gotcha. So in regards to niche, I think you're talking more about like phenotype. Are you familiar with that?
Not so much. If you explained it, I probably am though.
Gotcha. So niche, phenotype, avatar, archetype are kind of one and the same,
Yeah.
meaning that you're classified in a group of humans to where you have similar features, similar, like if a girl has a type, you all fall in line to that type. So in regards to explaining more of my niche is more from what I've tend to attract in regards to a woman and their preferences. It's always like either mixed men, Dominican men, athletic. A lot of girls I've been with are always into athletes, football players, etc. So in regards to you, I think just looking at us, we could potentially fit into the same type. In regards to the woman I attract, you probably could also attract too, given the features that I'm seeing right now. You would just need to kind of, I can't see your body or like if you maxed out your sex appeal to the max or anything like that. But if you did, then I would say it would be pretty similar, maybe off by like a few degrees, but it could be similar. Yeah.
Yeah, what I found is kind of funny sometimes. Girls who are into black guys, quote unquote, they don't like me sometimes because I don't know, I'm mixed or something like that. I just found that funny. But so you pretty much answered my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, but dude, Austin, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. Really enjoyed the podcast, and yeah, let's do something in the future. We should do some kind of like Tinder experiment or something.
Yeah, I've been banned on Tinder for almost a year and a half now. I've used a burner and I've gotten a new cell phone number, but I feel the results were like different. It's like I think it might have been what's it called, shadow banned or something. So I haven't even used Tinder since then. I've been using other stuff. So, but yeah, I'm down to do more stuff, man. I go to Miami quite often too. I'm in Orlando, so you're in Miami, right?
Yeah, for sure, dude. Hit me up when you're in Miami. We'll figure something out.
Gotcha. All right,
yeah,
man.
dude. Yeah, thanks for coming on. You're chatting. Yeah, we'll touch base later. Awesome. All right, buddy. Take care.
See you.